Now, I like to talk about lesson learned at this point
Mm-hmm.
and give you an example. Now, lesson learned have always been, oh, something went wrong, so we learned our lesson. Because it's kind of like a have you learned your lesson yet? You
Yeah.
know? But lesson learned also should talk about what went well. So I like that AAR concept. What went well? What didn't go so well? What can be done better? And that's lesson learned for me. I have to leverage on, hey, this team did very well. Let's hear what was their modus operandi, or what was their methods. And
Yeah.
if I can replicate that best practice or that good method to every team, then I've just brought everyone up one level. Now, if there was one team that had a bit of an error and did something wrong, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to say they fell a step down. I'm going to say, hey guys, we've got a good preventive measure to learn. Let's learn from these guys and see how they overcome this challenge, so that for the rest of us, we're never going to face this, you know? And that's how I look at what didn't go so well, right? So that's how we bring that balance in that environment of of managing knowledge, right? Now, well, within the same environment of DIB, then I'll say about capacity building.
Mm-hmm.
When we start building teams, when we start leveraging on our teams, when we start promoting and growing our team, right? Then we don't have to look at how what was the background of this person, which university they came from. Hey, this is a fresh guy. He just came out last week. He's got I've had more salt in me that he has had in all his meals, right? So you terms like this don't work anymore because everyone has gone through a certain path and has picked something up. Now that that young freshman could have actually picked up something from an article or from high school that taught him something that we've never experienced. So that environment is always going to be a continuous learning environment. Yeah. Now with this embracing DEIB, embracing cultural differences, and even being very aware of cultural barriers, today when we strategize learning models, when we strategize even your lunch and learn sessions, we
Mm-hmm.
have to remember that we do have a global community with us, especially post COVID. Now, there's a different example that I can give, and in my class, I do have students from China, I do have students from India, and I like to use one example that I hope I have enough time to share with you.
Yes.
Um, is this term that we use, right? So, if there was something behind you, right? Well, in Singapore, we'd probably say the things behind, right? Or let's say it's we're looking for a plate of apples, right? I'll say the plate of apples is behind, right? Or it's at the back, right? Or hey, it's right behind me. Now, in some cultures, the same term is said, it's at the backside. Now, the backside in Singapore, in our language, actually means your bum. So, and that will get a couple of steps. What? You'll get
Yes.
a couple of reactions. But what he meant was, it's not on the left side, it's not on the right side, it's on the back side,
Right.
right?
Right.
So that's a bit of cultural comedy, if if you want to say,
Yes. Yes.
So we have to be aware, and this cultural awareness really hit us during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
because I would like to remind many of us, especially if you are a working adult and you've been in that scenario where you work remotely or you work with a team that has someone who's at home. Now, we have to remember that when we are working from home, if you're a parent, then you're also the nanny at that time, you're also the chef, you're also the housekeeper because you're doing the cleaning. You might even be the guy you might be the person doing the laundry, you might be doing the pickup of groceries, and you might still be working at the same time. Now, the difference is when you work remotely, it's very difficult for you to say, from 8 to 5, I'm only going to play one role. It's not going to happen because, well, the kids are going to come back for lunch. And
Right.
that time is, Mom, I'm hungry. Dad, I'm hungry. So you've got to balance a bit. And we have to be a bit more sensitive when we set meetings, in understanding, all right, look, let's look at my team. How many of them may have a conflict? Or we propose, hey guys, we're going to set up a meeting. It's going to take us 90 minutes. I have a couple of times. which one works best for everybody? In that sense. Just look at today. I mean, Kendra decided to wake up at 7 a.m. in order to make sure that it was 8 p.m. for me and not too late, because she didn't want me to stretch too late into the night. So she was being culturally aware. I, on the other hand, when we got online, I told her, isn't it a bit too early for you to be up? I was just lucky that she's a morning person, right? So
Right.
that cultural awareness, I'm sorry, it doesn't mean I'm not good at it yet. But I'm working on it, all right? I'm working on it.
It's true for all of us. Yeah. We're always learning. Yeah, that's
So
right.
the last trend I want to talk about is continuous learning. We have gone into this cycle, and I'm living example of it. You know, uh, every single day is a learning day. You learn everything, and you don't just learn it from the people you work with, from the people you work for, from the people who work under you. You learn it from your kids. You learn it from the lady at the supermarket, the guy at the supermarket. You learn it from the butcher who's telling you, hey, if you're going to make a steak, this is the cut that you want. And
Yeah.
that's an important lesson, if you like steak. So every single day, you are learning something. And we as our guests, we as learning adults, we have to remind ourselves that, hey, there is a learning in everything. Um, it doesn't have to be a downloading session. It definitely is a conversation sometimes. That's how I started to love my chai tea at Starbucks with soy milk. It was when the barista told me, have you tried it with soy milk? It brings out the taste. And I went like, I don't really like soy milk, but you know what? I'll have it just to make the barista happy. And
Yeah.
it's always soy milk from today,
Oh,
right? I
wow.
mean, I've tried oat milk with it as well, and it's not too bad. But I'm off regular milk when it comes to my chai tea latte from Starbucks. So if you
Oh,
haven't, I'm telling you, go for
I,
it.
I'm going to try it. I usually get mine with almond milk. I love chai. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Try it
Yeah.
with oat or soy.
Soy
It's
milk. I
for
will.
well for me, it's awesome. So again, jumping back right on, right,
Right.
Kendra, I know I went off a bit. So two issues that I want everyone to remember of is managing VUCA, managing information overload, and embracing ChatGPT. It's there just to give us frameworks. The second issue is about addressing the challenges in KM implementation, um, and look at it at a couple of levels. Look at it at a strategic level where you are a planner. Look at it at middle management where they are going to be the guys who are going to be working with executors, and look at it from the ground up, right? What are the challenges from implementation? Okay. And three trends that I think are really kicking it off and bringing us into the future of KM is um, leveraging on technology. Yep, leveraging on technology to help us do things faster and better. Addressing my second one would be addressing diversity, inclusivity, quality, and belonging, and the cultural barriers, understanding what backside means and left side and right side means, right? Uh, Now, making sure you remember KM is gender neutral, is colorblind, right? And my last point would be to embrace the continuous learning culture. So this would be 3 points, 2 and 3 points, two for issues, three for embracing that. I think when you are developing strategy, um, have that awareness. And then when you are able to balance this, your KM strategy together with your business strategy, I think it's you're gonna hit the ball out of the park with that.
That's great. That's really great. Wow. So I just have a couple of follow-up questions that and maybe some observations I wanted to share with you. While you were talking earlier about Chat GPT, I had this thought. This is an academic thought, which is, do you think that Chat GPT could and might replace Wikipedia?
Ah, interesting thought.
I know. You
and
prompted it. Yeah.
and I think well, I don't know about what's happening in the US, but in Singapore, Wikipedia can't be used. You can't use Wikipedia as a reference material for your academic papers. So I'm talking
Right.
purely from an academic point of view,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And the reason we can't do that is because you are unable to actually cite the source.
Right.
Now, today, ChatGPT, from what I recall, they don't do citation of where they got the information from.
No.
Now, what I also like to be slightly more cautious about is you may ask ChatGPT the same questions from different platforms.
Mhm.
You may not get the same answers. Now, what was very interesting is in one of the studies that was just being done in the university, they actually asked ChatGPT for some citations on an essay that ChatGPT created. So
Right.
they got ChatGPT to create to create an essay, and then they submitted that essay and asked ChatGPT to mark it, giving a rubrics. Uh,
Ooh.
they did mark it. Unfortunately, when they ran it a couple of times, the marking was not, I will say, was not synchronized. So at some point, it got a higher mark. At some point, it got a lower mark. You
Ah.
know, it was not consistent,
Uh,
and it was not synchronized uh, to the rubrics, right? That they had created, which ChatGPT created for them as well. So they did the whole works. They got ChatGPT to create an essay, then they got ChatGPT to create a rubrics to mark it, and then they got ChatGPT to mark it, right? Now, the last point they asked is, can you give us the citations of where these materials are for? And then, of course, a bunch of academics were sitting there trying to, uh, battle ChatGPT.
mhm.
What they did is they used the citations and they actually went back to do proper referral. And they discovered that some of the citations did not exist. Uh, which kind of made my eyes pop a bit, like, are you kidding me? So where did she plug? Where did ChatGPT plug this from? But well, I guess it's still new. Um, End of the day, it's AI, it's machine learning as well. So it's learning from all of us and from all the data that's out there. Will it improve? I'm sure it will. But today, I will think that it's going to be very dangerous ground if a student works purely on ChatGPT for
Yeah.
submission. And it's also similarly going to be very dangerous if a teacher or a lecturer or professor uses ChatGPT as the only element that they're going to use to teach a lesson.
Right.
Uh,
Please,
because
Chat GPT, please write my lecture on strategic KM.
I've already done that.
How was it?
It was pretty all right. It kind of gave a couple of points. I did it in class. I teach KM strategy, so I did it in class live, and I said, guys, if you ever ask this question, don't worry, I've got the answer.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I'll have to go look that up too.
Oh, you have to. It's for me. It's when it from the day it was launched. I think I was in on the second month after it was launched. Not the second. I think it was in January. So I think it was launched sometime in December or something. I can't remember.
Mhm.
But I still had that account that goes on with it. Um, I can tell you that it can give you, for a teacher, it can give you a good outline of the course.
Right.
If you want to create a course, it can give you policies of how you want to run your course. It can give you uh, discussion prompts to have. And for students, I think it can give you brainstorming ideas. It can give you ideas to think about. And for students, especially, if you're going to read a very large article, just copy it and put it in there and tell them, hey, can you summarize the salient points for me? And
That's great.
ChatGPT will do it for you. It might not be complete, but at least you'll get, I'm hoping 75% of whatever you're supposed to, you might have squeezed 75% of the juice out
Mhm.
into some summarized points that can help you. And this is the best part. It translates text for you. So if you have text and if you're, if it was written in French or in German or in Spanish and you wanted it translated into English, apparently the translation of text is pretty accurate.
Oh, good. I just got a
Yeah.
contract from Germany.
There you go. There you
German.
go.
I was using Google Lens to translate.
Right. So try it out. Try it out if you can
Well,
put it up and um, you know, get some tips out of it.
that's a
That's
good,
my point. So is
yeah.
it going to replace Wikipedia? I said even if it does, um, it's going to be tough to say that it's going to be something that you can use 100%. My view is always it gives me a frame, and
I
I'll
think
build on that frame.
that's probably why I had the idea that it might replace Wikipedia because they both are good for gleaning an
Mm,
overview of a particular topic. Yeah.
mm.
I asked ChatGPT this week, I said, who are the most influential people in a particular city?
Uh-huh.
And, you know, at first it gives you this whole thing. Well, influence is a very, you know, nebulous term, and these are the characteristics that go into it, and blah, 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 blah. And then it
Uh-huh.
gave me a list of like the top 25 people.
Awesome.
It was both.
I
It was a
I
fair
got to try it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was interesting. It was very interesting.